Hello class, welcome to our lesson for today, which will be talking about how to find the main idea of a text. Our learning objectives for class today will be to learn about main ideas and to learn about how to find the main idea of a text. But first, what exactly is a main idea? A main idea is the central point or purpose that an author wants to share with the reader or their audience. Basically, a main idea is the topic or idea that a text is mainly about. What is a text? A text is a body of written work, meaning it could be a number of different things. It could be as large as an entire book, or it could even be as small as a sentence. Currently, for this lesson, we are going to be focusing on starting this process looking at smaller pieces of texts, such as paragraphs or a couple of pages in a chapter book, or a shorter book or article that will help us develop our skills. Then, after we have developed our skills, we can work towards finding the main idea of larger texts or longer texts. Where exactly can we find main ideas? Main ideas can be found anywhere, in things like books, newspaper articles, magazine articles, and even in movies. Main ideas can be found in a number of different texts beyond just written texts. But once again, for this lesson, we will mainly be focusing on finding the main idea of a written piece of text, meaning either a story, a book, or an article. Why exactly are main ideas important? Finding the main idea of a text is important because it allows us to better understand what we are reading. And how exactly can we find the main idea? Well, we can find the main idea of a text by following a series of steps, in which the first step is to find the text. But what exactly does this mean? In order to find the main idea of a text, we need to make sure that there is enough information for us to look at and think about. We need to make sure that the text is long enough for us to examine, but it's not too long for the time being that's overwhelming to find the main idea. So if we find an article, for example, maybe we can use the first page as our current text. So our next step is to read the title of the text. As a reminder, a title can be defined as the name of a book, composition, or another piece of text. We usually will find texts written in a larger size, and they will usually either be located on the front cover of a text or at the top of the page, depending on the text. For this article on the slide, we can see that the title is The Power of Creative Agency. And then we can move on to our next step, which is to read the text. Remember, we currently want to start off with smaller texts and then work towards finding the main idea of larger texts later. So when reading the text, try to focus primarily on a smaller portion for the time being, so it's not too overwhelming. And then, after we have read, while we are reading the text, we should be looking for what are known as clue words. Clue words are words or concepts that are very important in a text, which can help provide clues to what the main idea could be. We can look for clue words by seeing if we notice any words that have been bolded or underlined, or also by seeing if we notice that certain words or phrases are being repeated often within the text. If necessary, we can mark these words, if they're not already marked in the text, by highlighting them, underlining them, circling them, or rewriting them on a separate sheet of paper. On this article on the slide, I have chosen to circle a word that appears a lot in the text. And then, after we have read and looked for clue words, we should look for other key text features. Text features can be defined as being the different parts of a story or article that are not the main body of the text. Text features are important because of how they help provide additional information about a text. We already have looked at some types of key text features in previous steps. As, for example, we've looked at the title, which is an important key text feature. And we've also looked at clue words, which can be text features if they are bolded, for example. Other important text features include things such as pictures, diagrams, headings, captions, charts, tables, and glossaries. And then our next step is to think about what the author is trying to say. In order to do this, we need to think about the information we received throughout the previous steps. And we should try to find similarities in that information. To do this, we can ask ourselves a variety of questions, such as, are there any particular ideas or words that are being emphasized? Why might the author be emphasizing these things, and why are they important? At this step, it may be important or helpful to write down a couple of ideas to keep track of them. And then, after thinking about what the author is trying to tell us, we can then reread the text to check to see if our main idea makes sense with what we read. If it does, then great. But if it doesn't, then we would probably need to go back through our steps again so we can work towards finding a main idea that makes more sense with the text that we read. For example, for the article that has been presented throughout this PowerPoint, we could say that the main idea of the first page of the article, The Power of Creative Agency, is to explain the importance of creativity. And then, from there, we could potentially describe why we thought that. But that is a skill that we'll be working more on in later classes, not so much right now. But in conclusion, great job. We will be continuing to work on this skill and adding other skills such as supporting our thoughts in future classes. And in the meantime, feel free to let me know if you have any questions. Thank you all for being such great students.